The best players in Dynasty football are the ones that can look at a negative consensus opinion and shuffle through it and try and find the value that no one else sees. Well, in today's video, I believe I'm going to be able to bring you guys one of the most undervalued assets in all of Dynasty football this offseason. At the moment, I don't know about you guys, but I hear a lot of talk from the Dynasty community from all different angles. We're in a great position to be able to do so. But at the moment, all I'm hearing about the 2025 rookie class is negativity. I haven't heard many, if any, positive comments from any part of this community on the 2025 NFL draft class. And it's gotten to the point where people are kind of throwing these picks around like they're candy. Could this be another example of the Dynasty community overvaluing their opinions 1 year away from a draft? Because it wouldn't be the first time. Sometimes we've overdrafted or we've overvalued future drafts. And I believe in this offseason, we could be undervaluing a future draft. From Dynasty trades that I have seen in the community, I believe most are undervaluing this 2025 class. And today we're going to talk about how we can exploit that in our leagues. We're going to talk about three things. Number one, we're going to talk about how silly it is to devalue a rookie class 1 year out from them actually being drafted. Number two, we're going to talk about players that I actually love in the 2025 class to give you some hope, some reasonable expectations to be excited for the upcoming class in 2025. And number three, we're going to talk about deals that I have seen for 2025 first round picks that I believe you should try to replicate in your own league. So first thing we're going to talk about is how often do first round rookie picks emerge in the year that they are drafted, right? So they're not a consensus first round pick in the NFL draft or in rookie drafts in the Devy community, but they just kind of emerge and they aren't, the year before they were drafted had that expectation. It happens very often. In fact, it happens every single year, which is, again, why I think it's so silly why people are undervaluing the 2025 class. Let's look at examples from the past 4 draft classes. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that no one knew these names. I'm not sitting here saying that no one talked about them, but for the vast majority, no one had first round expectations on the names that we're about to talk about the year before they were drafted. Let's start in 2023. How about Anthony Richardson, a consensus first round superflex pick in startup drafts? Anthony Richardson, heading into his final year of college, had 66 career passing attempts. He had 66 career passing attempts before he had his final year at Florida. We highlighted how much we loved him on this channel, but still, he was nowhere near the first round pick conversation in the draft community at that time. He goes out, he puts up some decent film, and then he dominates the combine, and out of nowhere, you go from a guy that people talked about as a late second, early third round pick in superflex drafts to a locked and loaded top 4 to 5 draft pick. How about Zay Flowers in the same draft? If you know college football, then you know Boston College, which is the college that Zay Flowers went to, is not known for producing NFL caliber wide receivers. In fact, before Zay Flowers, no Boston College wide receiver was drafted in the first round ever. It never happened. And Zay Flowers' senior year is what put him on the map for those first round conversations. How about Rashee Rice? Now, Rashee Rice wasn't a first round draft pick, but he was a second round pick. He had a decent first 3 years at SMU, but his breakout senior year is what put him on the NFL draft community's radar. And it's funny because we talk about the Senior Bowl. Rashee Rice was not a name that was, he wasn't a hype name at the Senior Bowl. He was there, but he wasn't a name that people were super excited about at the Senior Bowl. Okay, let's go back to 2022. What names emerged the year they were drafted? Drake London. Now, here where I'm coming from here, Drake London is a special case. He had a great freshman year, but then he was injured for most of his sophomore season before putting together an 8-game year in 2021 that was very impressive. It would be foolish to say that his 2021 tape, which was the year before he was drafted in 2022, it'd be foolish to say that that tape wasn't the reason why he was drafted in the first round, or at least why he was put into that conversation. How about Jameson Williams? He had 15 receptions in his first 2 collegiate seasons. Then he transfers to Alabama and locks himself up as a first-round pick. Who knows what Jameson could have done if it wasn't for that ACL injury, if it wasn't for those suspensions. He's had so many roadblocks in his career, but he, at the end of the day, made 2022 first-round picks more valuable. How about Ken Walker in the 2022 draft class? He had a good 2020 season, but he only averaged 4.9 yards per attempt in the ACC. Then he transfers to Michigan State for his final collegiate season and puts himself on the map. He was nowhere near a top 50 pick in the NFL draft's eyes before that 2021 season at Michigan State. How about Trey McBride? Trey McBride averaged 25 receptions and around 300 yards before his breakout senior season at Colorado State. That last year, those receptions, that kind of production is what put him on the map as a second-round pick. Let's go back to 2021. Now, 2021 is an ugly year, but these players improved the value, the market value of 2021 NFL draft picks. Zach Wilson. Heading into his last collegiate season, Zach Wilson had 23 touchdowns and 12 interceptions in 2 years as a starter. He ended up being the second overall pick solely based on his play in 2020, his last collegiate season. Now, it didn't work out for Zach Wilson. The quarterback position, we know it's difficult to hit on quarterbacks in the NFL draft. Certainly, NFL GMs know that by this time. But the point is, Zach Wilson being a number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft made 2021 Dynasty rookie picks more valuable than they were considered the year before. Kadarius Toney averaged 17 receptions and 200 yards and less than 1 touchdown per year in his first 3 seasons as a collegiate player. In his final year at Florida, those numbers, that production is what put him in the first round. Again, didn't work out for Kadarius Toney. He had a couple injury issues, and obviously something's not clicking, okay? But the point, just like we talked about with Zach Wilson, those picks were more valuable because of the breakout that Kadarius Toney had that year. Doesn't mean you have to draft in the class, but the hype becomes higher, and those values for those picks and what you can get in return for them also gain value as the draft gets closer. Let's go back to 2020. Maybe the best example for today's video. Joe Burrow. Yes, Joe Burrow, superstar NFL quarterback. Well, heading into his final year as a collegiate player, he was on no one's NFL draft radar. And if you're saying he was, you're just lying to yourself. He might have been on the radar as like a round 3 to 5 pick, but no one was talking about him as the number 1 overall pick the year before he was drafted. He goes into his final year as a 5th-year senior who, before his 5th year, had 18 passing touchdowns in 4 years of collegiate play. Now, he wasn't the starter for all those years, but his final year in 2019 is what put him on the radar as a 5th-year senior and is what made him the first overall pick. That drastically improved the value of 2020 Dynasty rookie picks. How about Justin Jefferson? Justin Jefferson had a good sophomore season, but it wasn't until, that 2019 season with Joe Burrow, his final collegiate year, where he broke out for 18 touchdowns with Joe. That was the point he got put into the first round conversation. Again, that improved those rookie picks. How about Brandon Ayuk? Brandon Ayuk spent the first 2 collegiate seasons as a community college player. Then he transferred to Arizona State, and heading into his senior year, he had 3 total collegiate touchdowns recorded. His final year at Arizona State is what put him on the map for first-round conversations. All right, we've talked about a lot of names here. The point being is first-round talents emerge every single year. The talent pool in college football is so large that it's genuinely impossible for Dynasty or Devy managers to predict the future classes with any sort of precision. Okay, so saying at this point right now, today, as I'm recording this, it's the 20th of February, 2024. We are a year and multiple months out from the 2025 draft. For the consensus opinion around the Dynasty community to be that 2025 picks aren't valuable, in my opinion, it's very, very silly, because I feel like if you're saying that, you might be potentially overvaluing your own opinion. If I were to say that, I'd be overvaluing my own opinion. Okay, so Let's now talk about players that I do love in the 2025 class. And you know what's funny? I'm going to talk to you guys about 20 names right now, but there will absolutely be names that I will not talk about today that will emerge and that will be first round picks in 2025 rookie drafts. But let's talk about the quarterback position. People keep talking about how this quarterback position is absolutely awful. There's no upside. And I hear them. It's just certain players have not emerged yet. And certain players aren't being given respect that they are due. Let's talk about Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado. He was eligible this year. He will be probably entering the NFL draft in 2025. His first year at Colorado at a Power 5 school, he had about 70% of his passes completed, threw 27 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions. Those numbers are even more impressive when you consider that he was one of the most pressured quarterbacks in all of college football last year. Their offensive line at Colorado was absolutely awful. One of the worst units in all of college football. I can confidently say that. But he still was able to complete about 70% of his passes and only threw 3 interceptions while throwing almost 30 touchdowns. Now, do I love his antics? Do I love him going up to, the student section saying, pointing to the watch, even though he beat a 1-5 team that he should have beat? No, I don't love it. But I do think he's a very talented player. He's a surgical weapon. And I would not be surprised if he emerges heading into the 2025 draft. Now, next player we'll talk about is Quinn Ewers. Now, I've never been a Quinn Ewers guy. What I do have to acknowledge is that he drastically improved in 2023 compared to 2022. His completion percentage goes up about 11%. Do you guys know how difficult it is to improve your completion percentage by 11%? He threw about 3,500 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. By the way, in a year where he was injured for a couple of games. Former 5-star recruit, he certainly has a pedigree. How about Carson Beck? He has the size. He's 6'4", 6'5", 220 pounds or so. And last year, he had 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, completed 73% of his passes. He was the definition of surgical in a very good Georgia offense. He's going to be on the national stage. Georgia's going to be fighting for championships, so he has a chance absolutely to emerge. Now, how about some names that not many people are talking about? Connor Wegman, which I might be saying his last name wrong, but this is a former 5-star recruit, and if you look at his stats, it's not going to impress you in 2023, but you have to consider that in 2023, he was injured, okay? He only played 4 games in 2023, and in 4 games, he had 8 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. 8 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. That was the year before, while completing 69% of his passes. He's 6'3", he's 215, he has the size, he has the pedigree, he could absolutely emerge. How about Drew Aller? Now, I know Drew Aller doesn't really have, the love in the Devy community right now. He only completed about 60% of his passes. But, every year there are players that emerge, that improve. These are young college players. We should give them room to improve year after year. How about at the running back position? The running back position, unlike the 2024 draft class, is where the absolute gems in this class are, where the superstars of this class are. I believe the 2025 class could be the next generation of great NFL running backs. Quinshon Judkins, remember, as a true freshman, had over 1,500 rushing yards and 16 touchdowns while sharing a backfield with Zach Evans. Now he's going to Ohio State. He's going to share a backfield with Travion Henderson. Both of those guys could be top 50 selections in the 2025 NFL draft. How about Nicholas Singleton, who had an incredible 2022 season? He took a little bit of a hit in his efficiency in 2023, but if he gets back up there, he has every chance to be a top 24 dynasty running back. How about Ollie Gordon? Why are more people not talking about Ollie Gordon, who at Oklahoma State last year had over 1,700 rushing yards and 21 rushing touchdowns? He had over 2,000 all-purpose yards at a Power 5 program while averaging over 6 yards per carry and putting up over 20 total touchdowns. Ollie Gordon is an absolute stud, and he broke out at a young age. How about Jordan James? Why is no one talking about Jordan James, who last year averaged over 7 yards per attempt? He wasn't the starter behind Bucky Irving, but he's got a good body. He's 5'10", around 210 pounds. He could absolutely emerge this offseason. You got names like Omarion Hampton, who's an absolute stud out of North Carolina. You got Devin Neal, who's a stud out of Kansas. You got some names like Donovan Edwards, Raheem Sanders, who had disappointing years in 2023 but could bounce back in 2024. How about the wide receivers this year? Because I think there are seriously 4 names, maybe 5, that could be drafted in the first round. Luther Burden out of Missouri is an absolute dog. There is no touching this guy's talent. Last year, over 1,200 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns. The dude is dynamic after the catch. There's a little Jamar Chase to his kind of explosiveness, to his kind of athleticism. I'm not saying he will be that player, but there's some Jamar Chase in his game. How about Evan Stewart? There's a little Devonta Smith to Evan Stewart's game. Now, his numbers are not going to blow you away, but anyone in the Devy community knows his talent, knows how limited he's been at Texas A&M, and we also know that he just transferred to Oregon, and he's going to be the #1 weapon in that Oregon offense. I think he's locked and loaded as a first-round pick, and not many people are talking about him. How about Ted McMillan, who last year at Arizona with Noah Fafita put up 90 receptions, over 1,400 yards, and 10 touchdowns. He's 6'5", 210, and he's an absolute dog at the wide receiver position. This could be the next Drake London in the NFL. He's an absolute freak of nature. How about at tight end, Oscar Delp out of Georgia, Luke Lachey out of Iowa, Colston Loveland out of Michigan. All those players in tight end premium leagues could be serious NFL contributors. Okay? Not all these names, guys, are going to break out and be superstars, but the point is there are very talented players in the college football pool that are eligible for 2025, and absolutely there will be valuable players that are being drafted, dynasty landscape impactful type of players in the 2025 draft class. So the last thing we're going to talk about is the type of trades that you should make for 2025 first round picks. Right now, it feels like everyone's all invested in 2024, and as am I, right? But you don't see me going out there and sending, my 2025 first round pick for the 110, for the 111, for the 112. I'm seeing that quite often. And those are the kind of trades that I think you want to take advantage of. But first, we're going to look at real trades that have happened at the day of recording. This is from fantasycalc.com. These are real trades that happened in sleeper leagues, and you can see the exact format in these trades. So the first one we're going to look at is a 2025 first and third round pick being traded for Cooper Kupp and Tyler Lockett. This is in a Superflex Start 9 league. Okay, someone's saying, all right, I'm going out. No, I want to win a championship. I need Cooper Kupp. I need a better flex option. People don't like the 25 class. Let me send it away. Go get a 25 first round pick from someone who is undervaluing that class. How about Joe Mixon, a 25 and a 26 first for Isaiah Pacheco and James Cook? This is a 1 quarterback league here, but again, undervaluing the future classes. If someone knew the running back talent in 2025, do you think they'd be sending those picks away? Personally, I don't think that they would. All right, the next trade, Khalil Shakir and a 25 first round pick for a couple vets in Calvin Ridley and Travis Kelce. This is a tight end premium league, so it makes sense. But if you can get a first round pick for Calvin Ridley and Travis Kelce at this point, with the way that they've been performing, you take that and you run. All right, so in 2025 first round pick from Miles Sanders and a 2024 first round pick. Now, in my eyes, I don't have the privilege of seeing this data fully, but I believe that 2024 first round pick is probably late. It's probably the 110 to the 112, and the person who's getting the 2025 first round pick is just taking a lottery, scratcher ticket on the class. I love that deal. Look, I love the 24 class just as much as anyone else, but if you can get a lottery ticket for one of those last 3 picks in the first round for the 2025 class, go do it, because no one likes this class right now. How about this next one? In a Superflex League Start 10, someone got a first round and a third round pick for Nick Chubb. Okay, that's just a bad trade, but I'm showing you what's possible. All right, the next one, Drake London in a 2025 first round pick for Jordan Addison, Jameson Williams, a second and a fourth. This to me feels like someone undervaluing the 2025 class, because they're getting in the second round of the 2024 class and getting some names that are unproven outside of Jordan Addison, right? Jordan Addison's a big name over there. How about this? Kirk Cousins in a 2025 first round pick for Deshaun Watson. Again, undervaluing the 2025 class. A 2025 first round pick for Alvin Kamara, again, from probably a competing team. Rashee Rice in a 2025 first round pick for Goddard, Monty, Brevin Jordan, Cooper Kupp, and a Superflex 1 point per tight end reception premium. Again, undervaluing Rashee Rice and the first round pick. And then another Superflex league where someone got a first round pick in 2025 for Baker Mayfield. What are those fringe first round values right now? Think about the running backs right now, your Swifts, your Stevensons, right? All these names that are kind of on the edge of a 2024 first round value. Same with the quarterbacks, your Baker Mayfields. right? Those deeper names. What are those names that are not going to get you a 2024 first round pick, but they'll get you a 2025 first round pick? Go get those deals done. Now, this is a trade that someone sent me over on Twitter, and I think this trade is a prime example of what we are trying to do here. People find it much easier to sell picks when they can place names to those picks. So in this trade, Jake Balls got the 108, the 208, and a 2025 first round pick, and he sends away 2 later first round picks in 2024. This is exactly what we're trying to do here, guys. This is exactly what we're trying to accomplish. Again, finding the values in your Dynasty League is all about finding the value where no one sees it. And I believe that is in the 2025 first round class. I believe there will be incredible talents that emerge that no one is talking about right now. And ultimately, those 2025 first round picks will gain value compared to what they are currently being valued as. The reality is, when you can put a name to a pick, it makes that pick more valuable. And we will see that this time next year. Now, guys, if you're obsessed with Dynasty football, if you love diving into each Dynasty class, then why don't you go ahead and use a promo code LAND to become a Mother Flocker member. You're going to get access to our 2024 rookie report. Here's an example of version 1. You can now see the updates that were given in version 2, and I'm excited to announce that version 3 is coming after the NFL Combine, where we will add a bunch of new updates, including Combine information. If you want that and you want to support the channel, go ahead and become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND, and feel free to DM us if you have any questions. That's it. That's a big old breath right there, isn't it? Let me know what you guys think of this video. What did you think? Did you enjoy it? Do you disagree with me? Do you absolutely know that 25 class is going to be bad? Because that's what it feels like the community is saying right now. But do me a favor, hit that like button, show some love, and I'll see you in the next video. All love. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, L-A-N-D, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy, even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.